As we all know, every single year, Eurovision content creators around the world like to think they are Mr. or Mrs. Know-It-All, or whatever you identify yourself as these days. And this video is no exception, as I, Jamie Jew, attempt to, well, hopefully, predict what I think could be the likeliest outcomes at this year's Eurovision Song Contest. Some may be true, some may be not, but in this video, I'm going to share them with you. So without any further ado, roll titles. Afternoon, evening, everybody. My name is Jamie Jew and welcome back to a brand new video. And yes, as per the title of this video, this is my top 10 likeliest predictions for this year's Eurovision Song Contest. Now, when I say the word likeliest, I am of course referring to ones that I think are probably most likely to happen, given various scenarios, whether it's history or song genre or anything in between really. Of course, I should stress that some of these predictions I'm going to be making are a tiny little bit wild, but ultimately this is a video where I think where the likeliest outcomes of predictions for the Eurovision Song Contest are going to be. And if you disagree with me on that, you can always let me know in the comments below. But as always, before I start, I would of course encourage you guys as always to subscribe to my Eurovision YouTube channel, because I've made all sorts of different videos reacting to all 37 participating countries, come up with different videos of like countdowns. I need to do another countdown at some point, and of course I've been keeping up with the Eurovision Knockout 2025 tournament, which you can see in the annotations on the top left there. And if you've got any likely or indeed wild predictions for that matter, then also please let me know in the comments below, and of course smash the like button on this video for good measure. And without any further ado, let's get on with it, shall we? And we start off with possibly one of my most ludicrous predictions that I'm going to be making, hence why it is only number 10 on this list. But that being said, this is not entirely out of the realms of possibility, as I say number 10, Malta will not qualify for the grand final.
Serving.
Yes, I know you're all going to bash me in the comments. Look, I know. Given the wave of popularity that this particular song has gotten, I mean, it's not just for the fact that it's a typical female pop song with similar vibes to that of Destiny from 2021. It is a song that a lot of Eurovision fans love, including myself, obviously. Not only for its fairly similar, but also very catchy hook in terms of the do-do-do-do-do-do, but also because of its major backstory to it. The official title for this song is called Serving, but of course that's not always what it used to be. Originally, the song was called Cant, which in Maltese means the word singing. But that being said, if you are a native English speaker like myself, then the word sounded extremely similar to that of a derogatory slang word, which broadly means, well, lady garden, among other descriptions of course. Originally, the EBU, the European Broadcasting Union, were fine in leaving the title as it were. But then, due to some unreserved backlash from, say, certain other countries, namely the BBC, the EBU were more or less forced to do a bit of a U-turn, and now it's just called Serving. But if you ask me, that's probably an even cleverer way to call it just Serving, because, well, the audience does this. However, I do have to strongly suggest as to why I think this could not qualify. And also, for that matter, be a shock non-qualifier, no less. Firstly, for all intents and purposes, it is a female pop song. This is going to be a bit of a theme throughout this entire video, but just hear me out. I've had this strong belief over many a decade now, whereby at the contest, the casual viewers, when it comes to female or indeed most female pop songs, would just simply either not vote for them or don't feel that they're strong enough compared to certain other types of genres or indeed male vocalists. Certainly not in the way that the Eurovision fan base really loves female pop songs. And if you simply take away the background aspect of it, in the fact that it used to be called a slur, well, half a slur, and then not, it is just a female pop song with a bit of a hook. And as a result, the song itself just doesn't feel special in the way that, you know, many people could connect to it in regards to what it is now. But the main reason for my prediction in regards to this is because of their recent history, though I think it is a bit unlikely. But we must remind ourselves that they have failed to qualify for the grand final of the contest for the past 3 times, and have even placed last on those last 2 occasions. Even the mighty Destiny, when she qualified for the grand final virtually no problems, only garnered 47 points from the public, which if you think about it, is a disaster. So while I do think there is that niggle of doubt there, and I'm putting it out there because I think it's a likely scenario, for me the quality of the song and indeed the background of it is strong enough from the Eurovision fan base where I think it could translate easily towards the casuals watching, and I think it will qualify with ease. But my goodness me, it would be pandemonium if this didn't qualify at all from the Eurovision fan base. They would go apoplectic. Moving on to my number 9, and that is Austria will not win or even end up top 5, but maybe top 10. If you ask me to where this would come in the actual Eurovision Song Contest by the time of the songs being released, then I would have said, well, I would say easily top 3 and potentially a winner, as pretty much 9 out of 10 members of the fan base are saying. The main reason is that JJ has arguably got the best vocals in this contest, and his song certainly has a feeling of wow in regards to that. And his song has got an absolute wave of wowness in regards to it, especially with those operatic notes. Hell, even the change up of the operatic notes and the operatic, well, nature of it all, to all of a sudden go into a banging dance beat at the end with his vocals used as the note, still feels absolutely energetic and alive. Plus, it's also a subject matter a lot of people can, relate to, especially with heartbreak. But ever since the pre-parties, and I think for a little while now, there has been this quiet feeling amongst the Eurovision fan base where either people just can't seem to connect to this for some reason, or, and I know what you're all going to be saying as soon as I say this, it feels the same as last year's winner. But again, before we all start commenting, I know full well that I'm in complete agreement with most content creators out there when I say this is nothing like the same as the winning song from Nemo last year. After all, Nemo was not really an operatic singer. He only did a little bit of opera in the bridge, and that was it. JJ does opera for a good 3/4 of this song. But it's this simple fact that many Eurovision fans are saying this makes me believe that a lot of the casual viewers are going to be relating to it. And, well, if you happen to know your basic Eurovision history, or as we like to call it, the golden rule of Eurovision, is that you must never ever repeat the same style or vibe to that of last year's winning song, because it's going to flop. There are quite a number of examples of this, but probably the biggest example of this was Germany in 2013 when Cascada represented them with effectively a Loreen copy. Tonight we can be glorious. And yeah, that kind of flopped. While I still think it could easily get top 3 from the juries, no problem whatsoever, it's that niggle of doubt that will come from the televoters and to say, ooh, this feels a bit similar to that of last year's winning song. Maybe try something else. That for me is why I think it could get maybe a lower score than you think from the public. However, this is only at number 9 on the list because I do think we have yet to see the full potential as to what this is going to be like on the Eurovision stage. After all, he showcased his potential Eurovision staging to Nemo, and he seemed pretty pleased with it. It's on reserve for now, so we'll just have to wait to see until May. Next up at number 8, I am saying Ukraine will finish on the right hand side of the scoreboard in the final. You all thought I was going to say Ukraine wasn't going to qualify then, weren't you? No, pretty much 99 out of 100 of us are saying Ukraine are going to qualify for the final, mainly for 2 obvious reasons. Firstly, they have a major diaspora all across Europe, mainly thanks to them being displaced all over Europe, thanks to the tragedy that is of the Ukraine war right now. Not only in their native Poland, but all across Western Europe, especially here in the UK. And secondly, the amount of sympathy many Europeans, well, indeed all over the world for that matter, is still being felt towards the nation of Ukraine, especially with the verbal actions of that of an orange-faced dunthead that has been circulating around this year. Normally, this would be accompanied by a third thing in the fact that their song is typically pretty good, if not amazing, as of last year. But this year though, for about a good chunk of the Eurovision fan base, That's kind of not the case this year. While this song is a good homage to that of, say, 60s tribute bands, I don't know, but maybe a 60s band in general, especially with the wavy, fleeny things going on at the bottom of their, well, trousers, the song for me just doesn't feel contemporary or indeed modern enough to fill the heights of those classic songs, and especially like in 2021, for example, when it was absolutely bopping. Or indeed in 2016, when of course they won it with something completely different but also heartfelt and warming, which is exactly what they did last year. Or indeed their second winner in 2022, when there was so much heartfelt strings towards that particular song, when there was a different connotation used towards it, in the fact it was not only Stefania to all of the Ukrainian grandmothers, or that particular Ukrainian grandmother for that matter, it was for all Ukrainian grandmothers. Plus, any songs that had kind of half-assed broken English lyrics in them, they kind of get a little bit misplaced and are just not desirable by the European public. Certainly not those that are English speaking anyway. I do feel that could be the case of the jurors who may put this really low as a result of it. I dare say push it bottom 5, but that being said, I think the possibility of this happening is very low because of the aforementioned diaspora and sympathy towards the country. Hell, even some jurors are probably going to still vote for Ukraine as a result. In my honest opinion, I think if either of those two scenarios of diaspora and sympathy were just simply not in play here, this song would simply not qualify at all. Besides, as far as this channel is concerned, I've always wanted to keep things political free and only talk about the songs in the particular competition, but given the way things have been going for the past few years, I can't really ignore it anymore. But listen, I'm sure Ukraine will get a good result, and hell, I still have sympathy for the country, all things considered. Slava Ukraini. Next up at number 7, San Marino will not qualify for the grand final. It's so strange that this tiny little island slap bang in the middle of Italy have actually sent in a song, and more to the point a DJ dance song for that matter, absolutely slaps. It has some decent hooks, it is catchy as hell. After all, I am singing Tutta Italia every 5 seconds. In fact, it's garnered so much attention and so much listenability that it's got the 4th most streams out of all 37 entries on Spotify. And given that it's a televote only semi-final, this should easily qualify for the grand final, right? But hold your horses there. You see, this particular song under this particular country has got history pretty much going against it. I'm not saying songs like this doesn't suit the contest. If anything, we do like a good DJ dance beat every now and then, especially in the underground European clubs. But out of the 4 DJ type songs that have happened before this particular one, only one has qualified for the final, and that was Greece in 2014, with one of the better ones if you ask me, and even then it still came in the bottom 5. Also, there is the question of staging, or more to the point, the potential lack of it. After all, this is simply showing a guy that is playing around on a DJ set with 3 singers singing the songs and just a couple of female dancers doing something. If it's just going to be that kind of staging with like some spectacular lighting, I guess, or even some nice camera angles, for me, I just don't feel this is going to be enough to be on the borderline part of qualifying, let alone full out qualifying. It needs something spectacular to make sure it is absolutely getting the attention it deserves. Song alone is not enough. Plus, of course, it's San Marino. Their track record in semi-finals has been pretty dire to say the least. Even with arguably the biggest fan favourite of all San Marino entries, Adrenalina, with the massive artist known as Flo Rida even getting on the old gig, it only garnered 13 points, unlucky for some, from the televote that night. Another fan favourite was Vola in 2013 with Valentina Moneta, who came off the back of singing about Facebook, whom despite the fact was an overwhelming fan favourite, including getting top 5 in some polls, it only just missed out on qualifying. So yeah, history is not kind to this particular entry, to this particular country, so as a result, overall, it shouldn't really qualify. But in my honest opinion, I really do hope I'm wrong with this one, because this deserves a qualification spot, because it's boppy, catchy, and I would sing it like everything to Kingdom Come. And also, if it does qualify, we would have 2 Italian-speaking songs in the final. Or 3 if you include the next one on my predictions list, although I am going to be combining 2 countries here, so just bear with me. Number 6 is the United Kingdom and Estonia Estonia will have contrasting results in the final. I must explain what I mean by this first. My prediction is that Estonia will finish bottom 5 with the juries, but top 5 with the public. And the United Kingdom will finish top 5 with the juries, but bottom 5 with the public.
What the hell just happened?
Given how many countries there are in the final, these are quite contrasting and big gaps when it comes to finishing positions, but hear me out with this one. I'm going to start off by speaking about my native UK because, as I'm sure many of you are sort of realising right now, a lot of Eurovision fans have pretty much written off the UK this year. Either because the song is just not into their taste, or it's not produced to it be not properly produced, or sounding very nice, to some even saying it doesn't even fit the Eurovision criteria. And this is evident in a lot of fan polls which have been putting the UK either in the bottom 5 or in some cases last with no points. I do have my own personal beef in regards to all of this because I find this ridiculous, but I've had enough arguments with Dama about this, so we'll just move on. That being said though, because of the way this is getting with the public, well indeed with the fans for that matter, I do think this is going to travel towards the casuals as well to some degree, though that being said, this is absolutely going to be lapped up by the jurors. The main reasons is the fact that they have got way better vocals compared to the last 2 years in the form of May Muller and Ollie, who really couldn't put a strong note between them if you ask me. Hey, we love you May Muller, you just can't sing is all. Plus, during their pre-parties, they have been absolutely so communicatively brilliant and so bubbly and absolutely happy with their appearance in the Eurovision Song Contest this year. I don't think they care about fan opinion about the song because they just want to have a fantastic time. Their chemistry and showmanship as true BFFs, because they know each other very well from all of their Monday music days. That's why they call themselves Remember Monday, by the way. And this is certainly rubbing off on some fans as well because there is a lot of love for them and a lot of positivity from them when it comes to certain comments. And even their bubbly nature is making me smile as well. And it's certainly, I think this is going to pave into the minds and hearts of the jurors. With the right staging, which I think they're going to do this time around, hopefully, we could see a potentially really strong result with the jurors, and hopefully maybe a good, odd point here or two with the public. But yeah, I'm struggling to see that at the moment given the current lack of fan hype out there. But that is the exact opposite when it comes to Tommy Cash for Estonia, who by the way has got the wave of the so-called carrier generation behind him. After all, the man himself is following him everywhere he goes. Plus, even Tommy himself was quoted as saying that this is pretty much to, quote, get revenge for Use Clean. Plus the song itself is actually quite weirdly catchy for a joke entry. And he has some quirky nature to him, and indeed to his staging for that matter, because he's got dancers that are dressed as security men. Plus he's also got that little weird, wibbly wobbly dance thing, which I guess will get some people voting. But as for the jurors, there is no way on God's green earth they're going to be going for a song like this at all. They'll be put off by those dodgy dance dad moves, if you like, and also the lyrics are just completely ridiculous, with it even stereotyping, well, Italians in a good and bad way. After all, there is a lyric saying sweaty like a mafioso. Seriously, I would be very impressed if this even got double figures in total by the jurors. Time to move into the top 5 now, and at number 5 I've got Ireland finishing last in its semi-final. If you follow me on this channel for quite a while now, you will know that a certain other individual who I am BFFs with is probably going to kill me right now. But listen, there are reasons for me saying this. Firstly, and I know this is a little bit of a nitpick considering we haven't got the full staging of it as of yet, but I do feel that there is a little bit of emptiness when it comes to the staging right now, mainly because it feels kind of cartoony, or there's badly animated astronauts in the background simply just doing some bending of the knees dance moves, and all you got really is just some extra dancers on stage with some guy sort of with a straight face doing... yeah, not exactly groundbreaking by today's standards. Secondly, it is in fact a true story about a dog that was literally named Laika, L-A-I-K-A, I think. Sorry. That genuinely went to space as a part of an experiment for the Soviet Union in regards to space trials during the 1960s. However, there's one little detail that they might not have told you in the lyrics. She died while in space. I know the lyrics are painting a bit more of a jolly vibe and, you know, saying that they're more hopeful and, you know, vibing that, oh, Laika is probably alive out there. So yeah, a quick Google search later from some people might put people off. And finally, I feel the main reason why I think this may not even qualify or even finish last in its semi-final is because that this is ultimately a junior Eurovision Song Contest song. As a result, it kind of just feels a bit cringy and a bit daft and a little bit too silly for its own nature, and I don't know, it just feels kind of weird. That being said, I do love Emmy as she is a very established performer and certainly knows how to get the best out of this song, especially with her Emma Bunton-like vocals. And I will admit, those little bum 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 dum bum 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 chorus riff thing is admittedly quite catchy, and after all, I do sing it pretty much every time I hear it on my streaming platform or playlist. But let's just face facts here. To go from one of their best results in the form of 666 devil worshipper Bambi Thug herself, from one of the most spectacular and outlandish, you know, maddening songs in modern Eurovision history, to all of a sudden going to something ditzy and basic. I know it's a basic pop song, but I don't know, just feels a little bit of a downgrade for me. But that being said, they do have the backing of the UK and Australia in the same semi-finals, so maybe they might not end up last, but I don't know, I just don't feel like this is maybe qualifiable enough now after hearing it so many times. But on to something a bit negative, to something a bit more positive now, and again, it's two countries I'm going to be conjoining together for my number 4. At number 4, I'm talking about the two remaining Baltic countries in the form of Lithuania and Latvia, and I think they'll both finish in the top 10 in the grand final. Over this decade so far, and indeed some of it of last decade for that matter, Lithuania have been very consistent with their qualification streak and have often been around either the mid-table or at the high end of the mid-table, sometimes even top 10, which was a case in 2021 with the Roop coming 8th. But even when they send songs that aren't necessarily that clicky when it comes to the televoters or indeed the fan base, such as Stay in 2023, they nevertheless get a good placement from the jurors as well, because it is quite modern if you think about it. And I think the same could be said for this year as well, because the song is not on 100% of people's radars, but it's nevertheless modern sounding and quirky and dark enough to definitely stand out from some people. And I reckon because of those very dark and growly kind of vocals in a, well, dark song, this could easily put the juries once again in a good top 10 standing. I mean, never mind the fact that there's a good diaspora as far as Lithuania is concerned, this could end up as another solid result because of how unique it is. While Latvia, though, may not have necessarily the diaspora to fall back on, they do nevertheless also have a very outstanding and unique song in their own right, albeit maybe it might be something similar to that of Czechia from 2023, at least with artist alone. And also, like Lithuania, it is also dark and eerie, but the main difference is that it's at a faster BPM rate and is also very harmonious in as far as 6 girls doing their part throughout the entirety of the song. If anything, if you take out the instrumentation, it almost feels kind of a cappella the way they do it all. And unlike Lithuania, Tautomatus for Latvia have actually got more of a backing from the televoters and from the fan base this time around, which could easily translate into not only a good solid qualification spot, but also a good running order potentially, and as a result, a good top 10 spot in the grand final. I have a feeling that maybe the juries aren't necessarily going to go for something like this since it is a little bit unique, but then again, I said the jurors may go for something for Lithuania, so what do I know? But given the right camera angles for this, and of course given the right element of staging, like something similar they did for the national final, this could easily end up in the top 10 as well. But yeah, we'll see what happens. On to my top 3, and in at number 3, come on, it's going to happen again, isn't it? Italy will finish in the top 5. Again. Oh, come on, guys. Do you really think this is not going to happen? After all, Italy have been a staple in the Eurovision Grand Final and a staple in the top 10 in all but 2 occasions ever since they made their grande return in 2011. And they've done it with so many different varieties of types of songs, of whether female soloists and male vocalists, whether with groups or with duos. And to be fair, they're all brilliant. How even their first go back in the contest in 2011, they came second with a jazz song. That's how good they are. Although I must admit I questioned their third place finish in the televote in 2018 with whatever this was. Yeah, still for me for this day, I don't get that result. But it ultimately all culminated in one night in Rotterdam, excuse me. But ultimately it all culminated in one night in Rotterdam where 4 people come together with a band called Måneskin with 3 boys and a girl to produce this. To this day, Zitti Ebweni is still one of my favourite Eurovision winners of all time. And this year I feel is no exception when it comes to the diversity and the production of quality that the Azur can definitely offer this year, and even many years to come, I would imagine. This time though, it is in the form of a ballad rock song with a simple as you like sound that especially hits hard whenever the epic guitar gets played in. Plus, to hit home as far as, me personally is concerned, it's an anti-bullying song. To say I got bullied a lot at school is a little bit of an understatement, but we'll deal with that another time. Now, please do bear in mind, I realise that maybe this isn't gaining the fan traction that most Italian entries would do for many a year, with some describing this particular song as maybe kind of old-fashioned and many not really taking it to them, and even some questioning the makeup choice of Lucio Corsi in terms of what he's wearing on his face, which to be fair could easily pass as a ghost exam or maybe something Ghostbusters could capture. But that being said, I do think many fans are completely sleeping on this because of how quality it should be sounding, and for crying out loud, the ending is just beautiful. And especially when you compare it to last year's song, for me, I still think Angelina Mango was overrated. Don't get me wrong, I still think La Noire for Angelina was definitely a fair result in terms of it coming 7th overall. Fair as fair. But in the build up to that contest, polls left, right and centre were putting Italy as winner by almost a landslide sometimes. Why? And this harks back to my point earlier in regards to the Eurovision fan base on how they overrate female pop songs to a gargantuan amount sometimes. My honest prediction with Lucio Corsi this year is the fact that this would probably get almost 200 points, if not maybe more, from the jurors, and maybe about 80 something from the public. Time now for something just a little bit more controversial, but one that I think that maybe has a higher chance than you might think. At number 2, France will finish on the right hand side of the board, but not bottom 5. Yep, I'm going there, but honestly, hear me out on this again, please. Instrumentation on any song is absolutely vital in order to make a song seem reasonably good or sometimes even absolutely incredible. But pretty much most of the time these days, any type of genre, whether hip-hop, R&B, country, rock, pop, you name it, any country is getting more of an evolution rather than a revolution these days. Originality is dead after all. And the same also applies to ballads, and especially in recent years, I mean, most of them just aren't really getting looked into, certainly not at least until, Adele, for example. But in France's case in Eurovision, they seem to have got the quality of a good ballad absolutely nailed down. 2021 and of course 2024 being prime examples on how to get the production of the instrumentation done absolutely properly, especially in the course of the vocals, and the staging were just, well, absolute bonuses. As for this year though, despite the fact that this is obviously a deeply personal song to Luan, because it does feel a kind of connection for a lot of, well, mothers of course in my case, the instrumentation of how it all was produced just actually doesn't feel connected to me whatsoever, even though I do live with my mother. And that is simply because for me, the instrumentation on how it's produced feels sloppy this year. It's like they have put the previous ballads that they have done together, or whatever ballads they've come up with, and just sort of gone shoving all in good measure in like one big giant, I don't know, Ferris wheel or something, and just hope for the best. If anything, I would have felt a much more deeper and personal connection with the acoustic version, which was recently released on the Eurovision website. That acoustic version for me was way more of a tearjerker and way more of a personal connection than in its current rendition. But once again, I think the main reason lies in the fact that the fans just prefer female vocals compared to male vocals. In many polls, many female vocalists tend to get more higher regard with the Eurovision fan base, but compare that to On the Night, the opposite appears to be true. There are many content creators that also feel the same way, including that of ESC Tom, who has made well, a bit of a good assumption, but a fair assumption in regards to how the Eurovision fan community treats certain songs compared to others. I'm going to stop saying that now because I think I've got my point across. Regardless though, this is still a very much personal connection towards the song, which I think the juries are going to like for sure, and possibly even reach the 200 point bar barrier once again when it comes to the jury votes. But again, like Austria, I don't think it's going to get many telephone votes. Unless they get the staging right and, of course, maybe get a decent running order, then maybe clue me even, different, of course. Though, that being said, I think possibly putting or more to the point releasing the song in the middle of a rugby stadium was not the best idea. But now it's finally time to move on to my number one, and I feel at this point, this particular country had become a bit of a meme in regards to how they always finish. Though, that being said, last year, they did actually alright, but this year could be completely different if the fans have any say in the matter. But for me, I have to completely disagree. My number one likeliest, if perhaps slightly bold outcome, is the fact that Germany will once again finish bottom 5 in the final. In order to understand my reasoning behind this, we need to actually go to even further context regarding the German national final, Chefchaouen ESC 2025. Aside from maybe right at the end, where I think it's possibly the best outcome in terms of the song selection that it had, overall, this was a really, really poorly run national final by even Stefan Raab standards. And lo and behold, the man was running it! After his announcement that he wanted to come back in running the German national final once again because of how bad the Germans have, well, really had it over the last few years, most of the Eurovision fan base, especially that of the Germans, found this a real big blessing because at the end of the day, Stefan has had some success in the past. But a lot of people were also concerned in regards to the fact that maybe he could be a bit old-fashioned in regards to his approach, considering he's not exactly young anymore. And this pretty much showed throughout the entirety of Chefchaouen. Firstly, the heat stages and the semi-final stages did not have any public say whatsoever. Instead, it was just down to Stefan and a couple of his mates in the juries. As a result, we were practically robbed of one or two even really good songs that could have made a significant dent in towards a good top 5 finish. Yes, top 5 finish in this year's contest. The only time the public even had one iota of a say was in the final, but that was only with 5 songs out of 8 after the juries decided to bin 3 of them in the first round of the songs. 4 of them were practically mid at best, with Baller being the eventual winner, which of course got a lot of traction online, and I can understand it because for me at least, it was definitely the better package overall on the night. Let's just hope they make some bigger strides and better strides in terms of understanding on how the fans need a good song. And speaking of Baller itself, if you took that away as a simple dance track on its own, it's not bad whatsoever. This would easily pass away in any, underground Euro tunnel, so to speak. But as for a Eurovision song, for me, I just find it completely repetitive, and I must admit, I do find it like, the whole Balala thing kind of grinds me after a little while. It is catchy to begin with, but my goodness me, it gets on your nerves after just about a minute. And I think this is going to be the same for the casuals listening and indeed watching the performance on the night. Plus, they've been with loads of televote friendly songs this year. This could easily get drowned out by a load of them. Secondly, it's a dance track. Just look at the history of dance tracks in Eurovision. It's not good. I'm not going to repeat myself. And finally, and arguably the most talked about issue regarding the German German entry this year is, of course, Tina's vocal ability, or rather the lack thereof it. However, as I'm sure you all know, Tina herself is currently suffering from laryngitis, which she picked up during the national selection process of all places. At the time of recording, it has become so bad for her that she's had to skip 2 pre-party performances, as a result of which she was already going to attend in the pre-schedule of it. She did attend the first one in Amsterdam, but even then it was done as a backing track, which is not ideal in any way. And while of course this whole entire scenario is definitely not her fault, this is worrying because the contest is now just about 2 to 3 weeks away, 2 weeks if you include rehearsals. I just hope she does recover in time with her laryngitis and she can perform a very good tune on the night, because otherwise the juries are just kind of gonna completely ignore this. There is also the minor issue of staging, but that being said, they did say they were going to improve upon this, so we'll just have to wait and see. But right now, this is just another worrying time for Germany, and I kind of hope they do really to turn it around. And that about does it for the end of this particular video in regards to my top 10, possibly likeliest, if maybe one or two bold predictions in regards to this year's contest. But that's how I feel on how the whole contest is going to be playing about. I would make a few honourable mentions, but I don't feel that they're strong enough, so I'm just going to leave that out there. But nevertheless, I've made my predictions. What do you think, though, is going to happen in this year's Eurovision Song Contest? Let me know in the comments below. And otherwise, you know the drill by now. Subscribe for more of my Eurovision juicy goodness. Smash the like button on this video for good measure. And of course, ring the bell to get notified about my latest videos. Catch you again in the next one. And of course, there's more results coming soon in regards to Eurovision Knockout 2025. I'll see you then. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.